Chasing Meeples podcast. Here are your hosts, Chris and Angie. On today's show, we discuss our first impressions of Flamecraft. We're going to talk a little bit about Dice Throne, which game didn't live up to the hype, and what the heck is a meeple anyway? Thank you for listening in. This is Chasing Meeples, the very first episode. Something new we are doing. It is a learning experience for both of us. I'm your host, Chris, and I'm with my co-host,
Angie. And
it is a awesome Wednesday. What is it? November 3rd?
2nd.
Wednesday, November 2nd, 2000.
Wednesday, November 2nd.
2022.
22.
At least that's when we're recording it.
Yes.
Don't know when you're going to be listening to it, but that is the day we are recording it. The name of our podcast is Chasing Meeples. And if you are new to hobby board gaming, you will definitely hear the word meeple. So Angie and I have been into hobby board gaming, I would say modern hobby board gaming, for I would say, since 2019 is when we bought our first game.
Something like that.
Yeah. What was our first game that we bought?
5 Minute Dungeon.
Yeah, jinx. So you'll probably hear the term meeple a lot. So we figured we should probably explain what a meeple is.
It's time to take a seat. Stand for Board Game 101.
All right, class. It's Professor Chris. And how many of you know what a meeple is?
Ooh, me. Calling me Professor.
Angie?
A meeple is like a player piece, a token, a pawn. Am I right?
You are right, but what separates a meeple from any other player pawn?
Tell me.
A meeple has sort of become the symbol of the modern board gaming hobby. You can see it all over the place if you get a little bit deeper into the hobby. You'll see it on shirts. You'll see it just on posters. You'll see it in games. And usually the shape of the meeple is like a stylized shape of a person with arms and legs. For a extra credit, could you tell me which game first coined the phrase meeple?
That would be Carcassonne.
Very good. Carcassonne, it's a tile-laying game, and the meeple is used to represent different things in the game, right? So you can use the meeple as, depending on where and which way you place a meeple on a board, it means a different thing. The name of our podcast is Chasing Meeples, and the score track uses a meeple. So why the heck are we calling this podcast Chasing Meeples? Well, you have one meeple chasing the other meeple around the score track.
Usually Chris's meeple is chasing mine.
Another interesting fact about meeple is that it's a combination of my and people. In what year do you think the word meeple was actually used first?
Come on, I just clicked off the page. I think it's like 2000.
Yes, it was 2000. It was coined in November of 2000 by somebody named Allison Hansel. And she was playing Carcassonne, and she used the two words together and called them a meeple. So the entire board gaming hobby probably owes a big thank you to Allison, because without her, we wouldn't have had the name meeple.
We wouldn't have had the name Chasing Meeple.
Well.
Yeah, so I guess we do. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Allison.
And now it's time for some first impressions.
Quiz time. Chris, what is number 12 on the BGG hotness?
Are you serious?
Oh, absolutely serious. I'd be disappointed in you as my future spouse if you did not get this correctly. Okay, that might be an exaggeration.
Flamecraft.
Oh, awesome. You're awesome.
I know.
Of course, it's Flamecraft. And to start out the discussion of Flamecraft, I'm going to tell everybody my little story. I was dreaming last night, and a conversation that we have quite often is, what are we going to play tonight? So in my waking dream, my answer to that was Flamecraft. As I woke up, I realized we don't own Flamecraft. So today we were out doing a little shopping, and we stopped into a friendly local game store. And as I'm perusing the front table that has their little displays, Chris walks around the back of it. And what do you say?
Ooh, ready, set, bet?
Raise that bet?
No.
Raise that bet?
Yeah, I was like, ooh, they have ready, set, bet. And then I grabbed Flamecraft and said, oh, and look.
And look. And what did I do?
You screamed. Everybody in the store looked at you. You grabbed it out of my hands and went, ooh, I dreamed about this.
Well, at least there wasn't a table full of guys playing Warhammer at the time, like last time I did this. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it
Great.
before we even play it. I have not even opened the box. It is actually still sitting on the floor next to me in shrink. Can you believe that, Chris? I have not taken it off.
No, I can't believe that, actually.
In a magical realm, a village awakens and artisan dragons make coffee and cakes. Flamecraft is a 2022 game published by Cardboard Alchemy. Designers Manny Vega and Sandra Tang. Plays 1 to 5 players, about 60 minutes. All of this, of course, you can get on BGG. It is rated 7.8. I personally don't always trust these ratings, but everything I've heard, we watched playthroughs, setups, a lot of reviews, and everybody seemed to love Flamecraft. The one exception is possibly my favorite podcaster out there. Dan was not a fan of Flamecraft, but I think most of that had to do with the fact that the board is rather long and he had to keep reaching over the table. So I'm really excited to get Flamecraft to the table. Not only did I buy the game, Chris bought the minis that go with them.
I did. They look cool.
So in this game, the artisan dragons and smaller, magically talented versions of the larger, destructive cousins are sought by shopkeepers so that they may delight the customers with their Flamecraft. There is worker placement. And when you place a dragon, you are taking the benefit of those spots. So this really sounds very interesting, and I'm very excited. The artwork is just adorable.
It's a 1 to 5 player game, and I wonder, we play everything at 2-player count. I wonder what the best player count is.
That would probably be a good question for Randy and Ellen, and I did not post it on their Facebook page. Their playthrough was just the two of them.
Well, if you look at BGG, most people say it's recommended at best at 3, 73.3% of people, but there was only 22 people who said that. 7 people say it's best at 2, so that's 20.6%.
Oh, well, I just opened up Flamecraft, took the shrink off, checking out the rule book and some of the cards here. So one of the most important things you're going to find in any board game, player aids. The player aids here are 2-sided. So the first side is going to tell you turn order, what exactly your actions are. And the other side are going to describe the dragons to you. Some of the other really cute things in here, and this is this is funny. One of the ways to get your victory points, it's like a reputation track. The first one here is called the Joe Forgeman, like our George Foreman, Joe Forgeman. I thought that was funny because we use a George Foreman quite often. Quite often. Some of the stores, the shops, the full plate buffet, the dragon horde bank, the pizza coven, all just cute, cute artwork. Some of the dragons here. This one is named Hickory, Wingnut, Loaf, Fondue, Flambe, Cutlet. We have Lotus and Olive, Jasmine and Elderberry. So there are dragons. They all specialize in something. We have a bread, a meat, and iron, crystal dragons, plant, and potions. So I am very excited.
So what is it about Flamecraft that you're excited about the most?
I love worker placement. I mean, they have a couple different things in the game. It's hand management, but I love worker placement. Finding a place for your pawn, your token, your worker, in this case, your little dragons, and getting resources and turning the resources into points one way or the other by creating, in this game, enchantment, being able to bring out more shops. And when you bring out more shops and you put more dragons on, you can always build up and get more resources. I know the designer was even talking about how you can combo things. I'm not always the greatest at combo, and I think that is where you are going to really shine. I think you'll like it. Don't you think you might like
I
it?
think I like it. I enjoy worker placement games. I think the idea of having dragons essentially working for you is pretty interesting.
They're nice dragons.
Well, of course, they're nice dragons. Cutie nice dragons, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to play it. And what are we thinking? Play it, and then next episode we talk about it?
This is our before, and then after we play it, we'll let everybody know what we think of it.
Alrighty.
I want to talk about a game right now that I'm looking at on our shelf. And that game was published by Fantasy Flight
I know
Games.
which one you're going to say.
And that game is called Discover Lands Unknown.
Oh, that game.
So just about everybody that I read reviews of said it was horrible. And then Jamie gave a review on YouTube and said it was good. I took his word for it.
This is how highly you think of him, that you took the only person that gave a rave review.
Well, yeah, it's Jamie from the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast.
Well, Chris from Chasing Meeples podcast, tell us how you liked the game.
Well, it is the worst game I think I've ever played in my life, and I'm surprised it's still on the shelf.
Well, that is the shelf of shame.
That's actually the shelf of no room downstairs.
Yeah, that's true. Now, if we played it again, do you think you're going to hate it as much? Because the reason you hated it, it's kind of a semi-co-op in the fact that you could die, I could go on and win, but I could bring you back to life. Now, isn't there any other games we have that you can revive the other person?
I'm not sure, but it had nothing to do with that. The reason why I hated it is because my socks were wet. My socks were wet, and it literally incapacitated me. So I could move one square a turn, and my socks were wet. That was it. I didn't have any way to dry my socks. My socks never dried out on their own. And you were running around the board just doing whatever you needed to do.
I was ready to jump through a portal. You're on the beach just dying from athlete's foot or something.
Wet sock.
Yeah.
Did me in, and that was no fun. It was absolutely no fun.
But it's true, though. A wet sock can do you. I mean, you can get gangrene.
Here's an idea. Take the sock off. That's a great idea. Why don't we just try that?
You are on a beach, so I don't think you have to really worry about your feet freezing or anything. There should be a card that you... Were there even cards in that game?
Yeah, I think that's how I found out I had a wet sock.
That's true.
The wet sock card.
Well, I suppose if I came back to revive you, I pulled your socks off. I would think I maybe dried your feet.
Like, oh, thanks for reviving me. My socks are wet. I need some help. Well, what are you going to do to help me? I don't know. Try taking my socks off. I'll be able to keep up with
Oh my God, I forgot it was the socks.
All right. So, yeah. That's Discoverlands Unknown. Never ever play it. Ever.
Well, I think one of the reasons that you liked it was the idea that you can actually, and you would have, if you liked that game, you would have bought a second game to see which lands were known and then mix and match.
I would have.
So, quite possibly, Wet Socks saved us $80.
Yeah, probably.
Wasn't it about $80 when we bought it?
Yeah, something like that.
Now you can pick it up for like 15.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Probably pick it up for free. They had the rummage sale at Portlandia today.
Yeah, I saw that. Would have been a good place to give away Discoverlands Unknown.
Yeah, a little sign, free for the taking.
I'm telling you right now, if we ever go to a dice tower anything, that is going on the table.
Please take me.
That is going on the table.
Don't want to take this home.
Oh, boy.
Well, we could put that in there is a rummage sale for the church. Do you think anybody buys board games there?
Maybe.
You know, no, see, you couldn't do that. Okay, I was thinking that Linda upstairs sells books on consignment, and I know she does have board games, but I was thinking, no, we have a toy store in the basement. I can't have her selling used games. That wouldn't be right.
Yeah, well.
I wouldn't do that. I'm a kind person.
Good.
Sometimes. So what game? So I know everybody's always talking about what they've played. What did they just play? What did they just get to the table? We haven't really played anything lately.
Well, this week.
So what do you want to get to the table?
Yeah, this
what
week.
What game would it be that you'd want to play? If I said, hey, let's bring something out.
Well, we just got
Well, we just got Endless Winter, that one.
Endless Winter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought maybe you forgot what it was called.
I did, actually. So that was the second time I went all in on a Kickstarter, and I got so much stuff, I don't even know what's in it. No, it wasn't the third, because I know for sure I went all in on Dark Tower. I know for sure I went all in on that one. And I may have went all in on Fantastic Factories, which we never even played with all the stuff that came in.
Nope.
That's a good game. We should get that back to the table. But,
Yeah.
anywho, to answer your question,
Fort.
no. Twilight Inscription.
That was a good game.
That was a good game.
I considered taking that along.
Well, you should have. I'm surprised you didn't.
Well, I didn't because I forgot to pack games.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Kind of not really the last minute, I'm packing everything. And I got everything, it fit in my suitcase. And I just forgot to add a game. And I really didn't have a lot of time. But I would have played that. I would have just had to look through the rules again. Or I don't think I've ever read the rules for one player.
I don't think it's far off from what we played for two players.
Oh, my other question was going to be, what game has surprised you? Or what game do you like that you didn't think you'd like? Or vice versa?
Well, I can answer that question real easily. Dice Throne. Freaking love that game.
For me, it would be the game we just talked about that I did not think I was going to like that game.
Twilight Inscription. Yeah. Well, that's not your thing. You're not into space games.
No. Not really.
I think that's the closest we'll get to a 4X game.
Well, it's nowhere near 4X.
But it is a 4X game in roll and write. So we do own one 4X game. Ultra Tiny Kingdoms.
That's considered 4X?
It's a 4X game.
Really?
Yep. And I bought it, and it's that one in the little shape of a card pack, so they got their tiny epics. This is ultra tiny, super tiny, or whatever, epic board game, yeah.
It's supposed to take that long?
4X game, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dice Throne. That's an interesting one. Are you going to tell them or am I?
I don't care. You can tell them. You're here happy to tell the story.
Oh, I am so happy to tell the story. Dice Throne, I have passed by those boxes many times. And each time that I passed by the box, I'd say, Chris, what's this game? And each time, you won't like that. No. And not only that, it was kind of that wave by, and you'd walk the other way. You never, ever even stopped to glance at it. And maybe it was because it was already an older game. I don't know. I don't know your reasoning. And it wasn't until we were in Gnome Games, is that West or East?
East.
And a very nice gentleman had asked if we needed help, what kind of game we were looking for. And he asked if we would like Battle Yahtzee, which I hate that description of Dice Throne. But he showed you, and once again, you went, oh, and put down the box.
Yeah, I dismissed him.
So I picked up the box, and I kept talking to him and letting him describe it to me. And I let him do his job, and that's what he's supposed to do, and that's obviously what he wanted to do. And my feeling about, especially when you go into a small business and he's helping you, that you buy it and you let him have that sale. So I bought it, and it was only the 2-pack. So it was, what was that first one? It wasn't Paladin, was
No, it was the Gunslinger and
the Samurai. And I bought that one because Gunslinger had the lowest, or maybe the easiest rating.
difficulty rating.
Yeah,
Complexity rating.
Yep, that's it. And you played it, and I swear by your third play, you loved it. But you know, the really, really funny thing is you lost, and you lost, and you lost with Gunslinger. And you played with Gunslinger until you finally won.
Mm-hmm. I did.
And then, like, in a matter of a month, we had every single Dice Throne, Battle Box.
Yeah, I have a problem.
Starter, Santa versus, who is it?
Krampus.
Krampus, yeah.
Back that, yeah. Marvel. Well, originally I dismissed him because if you remember when we went in there, I was looking for Vagrant Song.
Yes.
Because really
well,
wanted
we had just come back from the Nashri, which I think we unloaded a lot of money that time. I mean,
we did.
We don't always do that when we're there, but I think that was one of the trips that we.
Was that when you bought me Role Player Adventures?
Yes, because I ended up buying that for you because you couldn't find anything up at the Nashri.
It was like, was that birthday or Father's Day?
Father's Day. It's Father's Day.
It's a very nice Father's Day present.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Just listening to you talk and thinking about it, I think the reason why I was always so dismissive about Dice Throne is because you and I don't do well with 2-player combat games. So we don't do well with Take That in games. When there is a game with Take That,
we avoid it.
We avoid it because we take it personally.
Well, there was once when you jailed me during Architects of the West Kingdom, and I didn't like that. And then you never did it again.
Never
did it again.
Nope.
So we managed to play that game easily without it. But you're right. But I think the reason why Dice Throne I enjoy is because that's the point of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Dice Throne is a completely lucky game.
It is not.
I don't see the strategy in it at all. Mm-mm. At all. I think it's all luck-based. But the combat, I don't mind that combat situation because that's the point of the game.
So you are partially correct about luck. Nope.
Luck.
So where the skill comes in.
I know there's a lot of people out there listening that agree with me.
Fine. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that when I say what I'm about to say are going to go, ah. So Here's what I'm going to say. Yes, when you roll the dice, there's no skill involved. You can roll them, shake them, drop them, dice tower them, dice cup them, whatever you do to get them on the table. Where the skill comes in is the dice mitigation. So you use your cards to change the results. You got to know when to play them. Just like Kenny Rogers said, know when to hold them, when to sell them, which you always forget to do for combat points.
Or sell them, yep.
But all that fun stuff, that's where the skill comes in. And there's early game, mid game, late game.
Well, that primarily, and the reason why you know it, but it was Shadow Thief that I liked to play, but I couldn't play. Not that I couldn't play it; it just did not work out. I was not getting those dice rolls.
You have to be able to get in the shadows. Like the key to him is to hit, go in the shadows, hit, go in the shadows.
Yeah. But then there was, I was reading, I don't know if it was a forum or what, and a guy, it was probably their Facebook page, and he kept saying how much he kept winning with him and getting all these rolls, and I'm thinking, well, most people on there didn't believe it, but yeah, the fella that we were watching on YouTube said first thing, the first round or whatever, you get cards, build up your hand. So, but I didn't lose there's so many, we have so many people because we have all of them. There's so many to choose from. I almost think it's odd that very rarely have we played each other's people. You have played some of the ones that I liked. I did. I played the Vampire Lord once.
Yeah, and she's not too bad.
Yeah, I've played her once. But you've played...
I have my top 3.
Yeah. But you've tried more of mine.
Yep.
That I've done of yours. And see how now I have this ownership over that.
I tried the guy with the robots. Artificer. He's okay.
Yeah, you did the Tactician.
He's okay. Tactician is okay. I like to call him my spiritual, the spiritual 3.
Oh, the Seraph.
Paladin,
and the monk, yeah.
The ninja's not too bad either. But that's my holy trinity. Barbarian. Oh, when we were playing with Scott, I smoked him with the barbarian. He was treant. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna get a big axe guy and use the guy with the axe and take him down. And oh my god, I think I hit him for like 18 damage or something.
Oh, really?
Like one hit wiped him out. But he is good at playing that treant. Like, really? Scott understands the mechanics of the characters. Like, all it takes is like...
You would probably be good with Artificer.
2 rounds, and all of a sudden he's just wham, bam, bam. Oh, this is one of these characters. I know exactly how to play him. And yeah, he was really good. He was using all those spirits and sprouts, and he was just like pow, 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 pow. You could tell, I mean, that guy's good. Scott's good. He's got a good head on him.
Probably be able to play Artificer really good, don't you?
Probably. I think he would enjoy the Cursed Pirate.
I think he would really find that a challenge.
I do.
I mean, I love her. And I've only been the Cursed Pirate, I think, once. But I think it's almost with her, you'd have to turn curse early. Because if it happens late in the game, you don't have that many hit points left to lose. But losing 3 hit points at the start of every turn, that's going to hurt you. But if you start at the beginning, you have more points to lose. And then, you're doing your damage there. And try to beat the other person before you get killed.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. So the other question, I guess the other answer to your question, now that we're done with the dice thrown tangent, same concept, same theory, right? Same type of game. We just finally got a hold of Unmatched Cobble and Fog. That's another game I'd like to play this weekend. What are your initial thoughts of that game? Because I know that's a game you've been interested in for a very long time.
I liked it. It was less interesting than I thought it would be. I think, not that it was hyped, but it was less less interesting. I don't know if that's the way. I was a little bit disappointed with it. And maybe because Dice Throne is so competitive, I was just expecting
more. Well, it is very hyped. I mean, the Murph brothers are all about unmatched.
Everybody seems to like Cobble and Fog the best. Now, we just played it once.
Yep.
We played 2 characters. And I think as you play them, you get to understand their powers more. You get to know the cards more. So that's one that I think it definitely needs more plays before you make a
absolutely
decision, really.
I
Because it could be the second play is just, much better.
It could be. Yeah. I mean, there were still a lot of rules questions while we were playing.
Yeah.
Our first game. I think if we play it again, it's going to be more fast paced, maybe a little bit more competitive. We were still trying to figure out how our decks worked. So I was Dracula, you were Sherlock Holmes. We both had a sidekick, right?
Yeah.
So I had the daughters or whatever they're called. And my problem is I wasn't getting cards
To play them?
So
Okay,
either I did a horrible job shuffling, but I felt like I did a really good job shuffling. And it was all Dracula cards and all defense, all Dracula and defense, and no like the universal cards where we both can use it, or the sisters cards.
I forgot about that because I was wondering. I totally forgot about that until you said that, because we're playing and I kept wondering, why are you not using them? I know you had cards I think you had it twice where you could bring them back, but you never used them. And there were a couple times I'm right next to you and you're not using them, and I forgot.
Couldn't use them.
You didn't have sister cards. Like I have Watson and I had Sherlock.
So who else is in there? The Invisible Man and Jekyll and Hyde? Is that who it is?
And they're a little different. I think Invisible Man has fog as his power. I don't know how. You can just, lay it out around him. Or Jekyll and Hyde has that where you can decide which side you want to play. But then you have the cards. You have to pay attention to which cards you have in your hand. But yeah, that is one, as we're talking about that is one game that it wasn't and then maybe it's because it's one of those games I was searching and couldn't find.
Right. It started to be that
Grail game.
Grail game, obsession, whatever you want.
Yep.
But I think you got yourself so hyped for it that
Yeah.
it just wasn't.
Well, and I like Sherlock Holmes. So I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes. So I think that was the one I wanted.
Right.
More than, Bigfoot. But I don't know who's in the Bigfoot pack.
It's Robin Hood. Bigfoot versus Robin Hood. Well, I don't know about you, Angie, but I am ready to get Flamecraft to the table. We talked about some other games that what was that look for? You don't want to play games this weekend? You don't?
No, I do. Please. I want to. Yes. I haven't played enough games lately.
Okay. So we've been talking about it. We gave our first impressions of the game, and now I want to play it. So what do you say we turn off the lights, get out of here?
Well, before we go.
Okay. What?
Before we go, I would like to correct something that I said earlier. When I mentioned the creator of Flamecraft, I misspoke the name of the talented artist behind those adorable dragons, Sundara Tang. Upon playback, I realized that I had said Sandra. So I sincerely apologize, and I encourage everyone to visit the Art by Sandra Facebook page. She is an amazing artist, And so while you're scrolling on Facebook, which everybody does, stop by her page as well. Next, we mentioned several people, and thinking about it, they deserve a full shout out. The multi-talented, charismatic Dan Hughes. Dan is a co-host of a popular podcast, Sporadically Bored, along with the Dice Tower's Mike DeLisio. With his daughter, Cora, by his side, he co-designed a family dungeon crawler called Cora Quest. And by the way, Dan has an expansion on Kickstarter. It is Cora Quest Keep Questing. And today they posted that they are accepting artwork from adults as well as children.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And we in no way are being paid to promote that game. So shout out to Cora and Dan. So Angie really likes you, Dan. And Mike, quite frankly, I will not stand for this kind of shameless promotion. Why don't we move on?
Well, I definitely do not want to leave out the Spobo Facebook group because Dan and Mike can be found there all the time. And that's not all. I think this is a busy, busy guy. Dan and his daughter Cora are occasional contributors on the Dice Tower's Board Game Breakfast show. The next duo we mentioned were Randy and Ellen Kirby from We Game Together. I would definitely recommend subscribing to their YouTube channel and receive notifications of live playthroughs. Ellen is amazing at engaging with the viewers. I am anxious to check out our copy of Endless Winter after watching the playthrough they did with the designer Stan Kordansky. Did you watch that one?
I did not.
Yeah,
I started
did.
watching it, but I think I started watching it too late at night and ended up falling asleep.
No, it was good. It was good to see the designer give clues and give a little hint about what he should do and what Randy and Ellen should be doing. I think that's pretty cool.
Always good to watch some other content creators. Stan lives in the same state that we do.
Exactly. And that's what I was just going to say, that Randy and Ellen are also natives of Wisconsin. So you know that they are some fine folk. Check them out. Chris, you mentioned Jamie. Can you tell us a little bit more about him?
Sure, absolutely. Jamie is a part of the Secret Cabal Gaming podcast, which I happen to be a card-carrying member of. The Secret Cabal is a bunch of guys sitting around talking about games they've played. They are hilarious. You should check them out. They have a website, thesecretcabal.com. And of course, you can get them anywhere you listen to whatever podcasts provider you have. Yes, that was a really weird sentence, but I'm sticking with it.
Good. Great. Last but certainly not least, we mentioned the Murph brothers. Mike and Nick Murphy can be found all over the old interweb. They have their own Murph Brothers YouTube channel. They stream live on Twitch. They also do segments for Board Game Geek, which are linked at that Board Game Geek website. I think they're also linked on their own channel. But I do not want to forget Mike and Nick are also found on the premier Board Game Quiz Show podcast. This Game is Broken, with Paula Deming, Dave Luza, and Matthew Jude. It is laugh out loud funny.
Probably your favorite podcast, isn't it?
It is #vote Golden Geek Awards next year.
Holy cow. You are just like a promoter.
I am.
You're not even like promoting our show. You're like other people.
Well, you'll be doing that in a few minutes, won't you? But why shouldn't I? I mean, you know, I check out these great channels, and you never can consume too much board game content. At least that's what I keep telling myself. So let us know in the comments, who are your favorites? See, here's a plug for everybody to come to our channel and talk to us. Did I forget anything?
No, I think you got it. You tell me.
I think that's it. But after we listen to the playback, I'm probably going to say something like, oh, damn it.
That's all right.
So leave those in the comments if I forgot anything.
Where can they find us?
We have our Facebook page, Chasing Meeples. Email, chasingmeeples@yahoo.com. We are on Instagram at Chasing Meeples.
You literally used the term interweb before.
I know. I thought that was an old-fashioned word,
I don't
isn't
think
it?
anybody uses that anymore.
Yes, it shows my age then. You know I did that on purpose, right?
No, why?
Because it was funny.
Oh, well, it is funny. And that's why when people surf the web, they can stop on by all the sites that Angie mentioned. And if you're listening to this, I'm sure you're listening to this on your favorite podcast provider. You should like and subscribe to us. It really helps out the algorithm.
I think there's a follow, too.
There's probably a follow.
I think there's a follow.
There's probably a follow. And so I really want to play some games, Angie. You made a face.
No, I do want to play games. I think we have Flamecraft. I'm going to solo it as well.
That's a good idea.
I also want to...
You're the solo gamer of the two of us.
I am, but I want to solo that.
So anyhow, let's get out of here.
Turn off the lights. Let's go play some games. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Angie? Oh no. My socks are wet.